Welcome to Mastering the Dual Axis in Tableau. In this session, we'll learn how to use one of Tableau's most powerful and most misused charts. You'll see how to visualize two related metrics together, tell a clear business story, and turn data into action. This is not just about charts, it's about decision-making. If you work with business data long enough, you will eventually hear this question. Can we see both numbers together on one chart? This is exactly why dual-axis charts exist. Business leaders want one view, one story, and one actionable insight, not multiple charts that need interpretation. A well-designed dual-axis chart compresses cause and effect into a single visual. Let's understand what we're actually looking at. A dual-axis chart has one shared x-axis, usually time or category, but it has two different y-axes. The left axis represents the first measure, and the right axis represents the second measure. Both measures are layered in the same view, allowing us to compare how they move together over time. A dual-axis chart should only be used when four conditions are met. First, the metrics must be logically related. Second, they must share the same x-axis. Third, their units should be different, like rupees versus percentages. And finally, the goal should be to compare trends, not absolute values. If these rules are not met, the chart can quickly become misleading. Before building a dual-axis chart, we need to understand three Tableau fundamentals. Dimensions define what we analyze, usually placed on the x-axis. Measures define what we measure. They form the y-axis. Marks control how data is drawn, bars, lines, or shapes. In simple terms, two measures, two axes, and one shared dimension create a dual-axis chart. We begin by building a simple chart. Drag a time-based dimension, such as order date, to columns. Then drag your first measure, like sales, to rows. This creates the base visualization. Think of this as laying the foundation before adding complexity. Next, drag the second measure, for example, profit, onto the rows shelf. At this stage, Tableau shows two separate charts, stacked vertically. This is an important moment. Even though we see two metrics, this is not a dual-axis chart yet. They are still independent views sharing the same column. Now comes the key action. Right-click on the second y-axis and select Dual Axis. Tableau layers both measures into a single view and creates two y-axes, one on the left and one on the right. You'll also notice separate marks cards for each measure. This is the moment your chart truly becomes dual-axis. To make the chart readable, we now separate magnitude from efficiency. Use bars for volume-based metrics like sales. Use a line for performance-based metrics like profit or margin. This visual contrast helps the brain instantly understand what is growing and how well it is performing. A common question is whether to synchronize the axes. Only synchronize when both measures use the same unit, such as sales and cost. If the units are different, like sales and margin percentage, do not synchronize. Synchronizing mismatched units flattens one metric and creates misleading visuals. This chart answers a critical business question. Are we growing profitably? Here, sales are increasing, but profit margin is declining. This pattern often indicates heavy discounting, sometimes called empty calories. Revenue is growing, but efficiency is dropping. This insight directly impacts pricing and incentive strategies. Now let's look at marketing performance. Marketing spend remains stable, while conversion rates rise. This tells us that funnel efficiency is improving. The business is getting better results without increasing spend, a strong signal of optimization. This chart helps answer. Is hiring improving efficiency? Headcount increases quarter by quarter, but revenue per employee declines. This is a warning sign of overhiring or underutilization. Such insights often trigger automation, restructuring, or role redesign decisions. Dual-axis charts can be dangerous if misused. Never combine unrelated metrics. Never manipulate axis scales to hide poor performance. And never publish a dual-axis chart without clear labels. A misleading chart damages trust faster than incorrect data. Before publishing your chart, ask four questions. Are the metrics logically related? Are the mark types visually distinct? Are both axes clearly labeled with units? And are the axes correctly synchronized or independent? When done right, a dual-axis chart delivers one view, one story, and one actionable insight.